All right, welcome to another Saturday morning. Beautiful day today, so thank you for joining me inside, or maybe watching the recorded version later. Hi, Prescott. If we haven't met before, my name is Todd of South Boston Yoga. This is Prescott. He's my fluffy little mascot today. And if you're joining us from the studio, I miss you all so much, and I'm glad that we can at least practice together virtually. So for class today, this is the advanced class. It's going to be about 75 minutes long, maybe a touch longer. And for props, you'll need something like blocks, a strap, and a blanket. A strap, you can use a belt or a towel. You're just going to need to hook it around your foot. Maybe not quite a short towel, something a little longer. And for blocks, you need to be able to rest your elbows up onto it. So it can actually be one solid surface that you put your elbows up on, but you'll need something like blocks. And then some kind of blanket, maybe even a pillow or something soft to support the rib cage when you're lying down on your belly. So those are the props that you'll need. 2 blocks or one big blockish thing, a strap or a belt, and some type of blanket or pillow. And let's just come into a comfortable seat. I like to sit kneeling. You can sit cross-legged. I'm just going to do a little bit of breath first. Just find your comfortable seat, sit up nice and tall. Let the shoulders drift back. Just let the shoulders and the neck rest. Just enjoy a few long, deeper breaths. Just to give us all a little bit of ease in the body and breath and mind, I'm going to do a counted breath. So the pattern will be 6 on inhale, 6 holding in, 6 on exhale, and only 4 holding out. So it'll be 6, 6, and 4. So let's meet up at the bottom of the breath. Take a normal inhale. Exhale the air out. And inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and release the count, coming back to a normal breath in and out. And then come up out of your seated position and grab a hold of your blocks or whatever you have that is like a block or 2. It needs to be wide enough to support both of your elbows. So when you come up, we're going to take a couple versions of supported Anahatasana. The first one will be on the wrist. And I'm just going to say this for those of you that are really hypermobile in your shoulders, or for those of you who don't know if you are, it's always best to be safe. When you come up onto the blocks, we'll back up, and a lot of weight will be in the arms translating into your shoulders. If you're really hypermobile and your shoulder blades slide together easily, I want you to lift your thumbs up and face your palms to each other, kind of locking the arms and shoulders a little bit more into place. However, if you're tighter, you'll get more opening with the palms flat on the ground, allowing the chest to be heavier. However, if you feel too much in your upper back, just face the palms towards each other. So bringing your wrists up onto the blocks, either thumbs up or palms flat. Back your hips up until your knees are pretty much under the front of your hips. And then keeping a little leg to the tailbone. This isn't a back bend, this is all about the shoulders. Just let the head and chest rest a little bit. Put a little effort down into the hands so it's not super passive. Engage the belly a little. Just allow the chest and shoulders to be heavy. Maintain a deep breath. So don't just let it be floppy. If you can get your head easily on the ground, press down a little bit into the arms. And then carefully come up, walk a little bit closer. So you can come into the same position, but with the elbows on your blocks. Palms start up straight towards the sky and together. Relax your head, find the position. Again, a little tuck to tailbone, not too much back bend. And then curl the hands apart so just the fingertips are touching and your wrists are a little bit wider apart so your forearms are more parallel. Relax the head, let the chest be heavy. Try to keep the elbows from sliding apart, so a little tiny touch of squeeze inwards between your elbows. And breathe. If it's okay with the elbows, you can move the hands a little bit to loosen things up. But if it's a little too tight or the blocks are too firm underneath your elbows, then just stay centered. If you'd like, you can lean a little bit more into one elbow for a breath, and then over to the other. And then carefully come up out of that. Set the blocks to the side for now. And come into your tabletop. Fingers spread nice and wide under the shoulders, knees under your hips. Inhale to look forward. And exhale to round the spine. Just breathing back and forth, expanding and flexing through the back for some rounds of cat-cow. More specific about the movement in a moment, so if you'd like, you can add some side to side, whatever make it feel like a better opening for you. Maybe some spirals or barrel rolls, just for a couple breaths, make it a little more organic. And then come back to your neutral spine. Feet flat on the floor, so not toes tucked, untucked and pointed. Pressing into the tops of the feet. Inhale, look forward into cow. As you exhale, round the spine, pull the knees an inch up into the air, and squeeze your hands and feet towards each other underneath you. Let the knees come down as you inhale, look forward. And then exhale, pull the hands and feet together to lift your knees up. Inhale, down, look forward. Exhale, pull to lift. Down, and pull in to lift up. So it's not passive, you're not just lifting, you're squeezing underneath. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, pull in, like you're trying to wrinkle the mat between your hands and feet. Inhale, look forward. And exhale, lift. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, lift, pull your right knee into your chest. Both knees down, inhale, look forward. Exhale, lift both knees, draw the left leg in, keep your right knee where it was. Both down, inhale, look forward. Exhale, round, pull that right knee in. Set them down, look forward. Exhale, lift, pull that left knee in. Set it down once more each side. Round the spine, pull that right knee in. Set both knees down, inhale. Exhale, round, float both knees, then draw that left leg in. Set it down, tuck your toes, and press back to your downward dog. Give it a couple breaths, pedal it out. Then in your downward dog, lift your heels, tuck your tailbone, round forward to that lifted version of high plank, shoulders over the wrists, stay rounded. Then pull yourself forward, lengthen out, lower halfway. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Again, lift your heels, tuck the tail, round forward through the spine, lengthen out as you lower down. Inhale to your back bend. Exhale, pull up and back, downward dog. One more time, lift, tuck, round forward, lengthen as you lower. Inhale, open up, forward facing. Exhale, all the way back, downward facing dog. From here, just walk your feet to your hands. Once you get to the front, you can hang. You can slide your hands under the feet, release the wrist for Padahastasana. Just bend your knees and make it a relaxed forward fold. You squish your toes into the heels of the hands. You can give yourself a little wrist massage. Release. Slowly round your way up. Arms overhead. And hands to heart, feet together at the front of the mat. Some rounds and variations of sun salutation. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Flat back. And step or float back, low push-up. Here, forward facing dog. Up and back, downward facing dog. This downward facing dog, make sure the fingers are nice and wide. Lift your heels, shrug the shoulders up into the ears, grow nice and tall in your downward dog. And then pull the shoulders back into place as you bring the heels down. Again, inhale, shrug up, lift. Exhale, pull back. Inhale, shrug, lift, hollow the belly, and pull it back. 2 more times. Shrug up, lift. Shoulders pull back, heels down. Once more, shrug and lift, and pull it back. Take a breath in downward dog. Soften, and hop or step forward, lengthen out, and fold down. Inhale up to stand, and hands to heart. Again, reach up, and fold forward. Flat back, step or float it back. Inhale, forward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now from this downward facing dog, take a deep breath. As you exhale, bend your elbows halfway to the mat, squeeze them in towards each other. Inhale, re-straighten. Exhale, dip down, squeeze in. And inhale, straighten. Again, dip the elbows, squeeze them in. Lift it back up. Again, dip and squeeze, and lift. One more time, dip the elbows, squeeze them in. Lift it back up, take a deep breath in your downward dog. And soften, and hop or step forward, lengthen, and fold. Inhale to stand, and hands to heart. Again, reach up, inhale. Exhale, fold down. Flat back. And step or float back to your low push-up, to your upward dog. and back to downward facing dog. From here, come forward to your plank, shoulders over your wrists, bring your heels to the right, reach your left arm up into side plank. You can keep the feet separated or stack them, but lift your hips, engage your bottom shoulder in, so don't push away. Pull the arm in. It's almost like you're rotating your right hand clockwise into the floor. Lift the hips, draw the belly in, and then bring it back to plank for the other side. Heels to the left, reach your right arm up. Side bend up a little, squeeze your left hand towards the feet so you're engaging your left side underneath you. Now it's a little counterclockwise work of the left arm. And then bring the right hand down, press back to downward dog, take a breath. And then hop or step forward, lengthen out, and fold. Inhale to stand, and hands to heart. Again, inhale, reach, exhale, fold. Lengthen, and make your way back to downward dog through your vinyasa. Then from here, bring the knees down and come down onto your elbows. Hands apart, elbows in, right underneath the shoulders, forearms parallel. Then step your feet back into your forearm plank. Lengthen the tailbone, push down into your elbows. Engage the belly. Walk your feet back a couple inches. Make sure they're not touching each other, so feet are separated. Keep the tailbone nice and long. Legs adducting a little towards each other, elbows underneath your shoulders. Belly nice and firm and long. And then knees down. Bring it back in, press back to your downward facing dog. Deep breath. And then hop or step to the front. Lengthen and fold. Inhale to stand. And hands to heart. One more variation through. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Lengthen out. And step or float back. Breathing your way through. From here again, bring your knees down. This time you'll need a block. So put a block the wide way at the front of your mat. And bring your hands around the block so that your wrist, the line of the wrist is in the middle of the block. The block isn't down below it or up above the wrist. Wrist right in the middle of your block so that the block actually would prevent you from moving the hand laterally. So get your hands there, but palms turned up. Fingers spread nice and wide. Draw the elbows in underneath your shoulders. Try to get the thumb tips down to the ground. Squeeze into the block. And step up into your dolphin. Resting back. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Some of you can lift the block a few inches up. Keep the hands turning up towards the ceiling. And bring it down. Supinating through the forearms. Reach the thumb tips towards the floor. And again, lift the block. And again, set it down. Spread the fingers. One more time, lift it up. Set it down, bring the knees down. Move the block out of your way. And press back to downward dog. Deep breath in and out. And then hop or step forward, flat back, and fold. Inhale to stand, and hands to heart. Now we're going to be stepping to the front of the mat, grabbing a block for the hands, feet about a little narrower than hips width apart. Bend your knees, sit down into chair, don't collapse the knees together. Keep your legs rotating outwards a little bit. Put the block between your forearms. Lift the elbows up to shoulder height, spread your fingers, palms face each other, sit back into your heels, squeeze the block, lift it up a couple inches, press the elbows forward, hug the belly in, sit down, lift the block, squeeze the elbows, press it forward, lift the block, squeeze, tuck tail, again, squeeze, lift, sit back into your heels, and then release. Straighten the legs for a moment. bring the block up overhead. Squeeze the block between your hands. I may be up out of the frame, I'm not really sure, so I'll just sit down on knees. You're still standing. Squeeze the block, bring it back. Hug the mid-ribs in. Squeeze the block, bring it back, hug the mid-ribs in. Squeeze the block, bring it back, hug in. And then relax. Roll the shoulders out. And again, block between the hands. This time as you reach up, bend the elbows 90 degrees. Not block down by the shoulders or up too high. Forearms parallel to the ceiling. Tuck the tailbone, belly in. Again, you're still standing. I just want to make sure you see it in the whole frame. Squeeze your elbows in. Send the block back. Hug the mid-ribs in. Squeeze the elbows in. Send it back. Squeeze. Hug mid-ribs. Send the block back. Squeeze the elbows in. And then relax. Roll it out. And back up to standing. Give yourself a breath. Maybe take a drink of water. Now just stand a little naturally at the front of your mat. Make sure you're fairly loose. Just do some arm swings, so make sure that there's nothing behind you or to your side that you're going to whack with your arm. That's surprising and painful to you and to whatever you hit. Just bend your knees to keep everything down low, loose. You don't want the swing of the arms to put tension in your back. And then just using your left arm, swing it back and forth. If your shoulders don't like to go all the way around in a circle, you just stay with back and forth, keeping it nice and loose, but keep the fingers a little active. And then forward, up and around. Just make a nice big circle. Again, the hand stays active. Bend the knees a little bit with it so you don't take it in your back. And then this is one of the few times in a yoga class I'll say get some momentum going. So you're really swinging the arm, not using the arm muscles necessarily. You can feel pressure, maybe a little tingling build up in your fingers. And then let it slow down. And go the other way. Backwards, up and around. Stay as slow as you need to. If you can speed it up, make sure you stay fairly relaxed. Slow down and release. Other arm. Just swing it back and forth. Forward, up and around. Fingers active. And give it a swing. Little bounce to the knees. And slow down. And then we'll go the other way. Back, up and around. Shake it out. Go a little side to side. As you go to one side, lift the opposite heel so you don't take it in your knees. And let the arms be passive, so let the arm behind you just kind of slap the side of your hip if it reaches. Again, the motion starts with the trunk. Arms are fairly passive. Then come back to center. Bring your fingertips to touch in front of you. And then bring it back. If you can touch forward and backwards, touch forward and backwards. And shake it out. Step to the front of the mat. Give it a drink. especially if you happen to be talking through all this. Feet together, bend your knees, sit back into your chair pose, Utkatasana. Shift your weight back a little bit, really sit heavily into the back of the legs, lift the heart a little. If it's too much back bend, keep tucking tailbone a bit. Then bring your hands together at the heart, make a fist with your left hand, and cross your right elbow over the left thigh. Twisting towards your left. Work the elbow down into the leg. Keep the knees separated so you're not collapsing in. Keep the shoulders down from the neck. Look down. Lift that right heel up. And carefully step your right leg back into twisting lunge. Bend the back knee a little bit so it's not locked. You don't want to lock out into your low back. Keeping that back heel a little bit forward, back leg controlled. And give yourself a couple breaths in the twist. And try not to let this top shoulder come into the ear, keep it back. And then inhale, lift up to high lunge, facing forward. Interlace your hands overhead. Turn the palms up towards the sky. Hug the belly in, bend the back knee a little. And then we're going to pulse the belly with the breath for Kapalabhati. Just short, quick exhales, 30 times. Begin. Release, interlace. Roll your chest open and bow forward for your humble lunge. Adducting the legs towards each other to hold stable. Be nice and gentle through the arms. Look forward for a balance point. Keeping the arms bound if you can. Lift up into bound warrior 3. Release the hands to the heart. Step the feet together, bend your knees right into chair, and stand up. Then for the second side, sit down into your chair, hands to the heart, and twist to your right. Crossing your left elbow over the right thigh. Again, you can make a fist with that bottom hand so it's nicer on the wrist as you press down. Down for balance. Lift your left heel and step your left leg back into your twisting lunge. Shoulders back, chest lifting, knees straight in line with the toes and the shin. Inhale, lift up to high lunge, face forward. And interlace your hands overhead, turn the palms up. Lengthen the tailbone, draw the belly in a little. And 30 short, quick exhales. Release, hands behind you, roll the chest open, and bow forward for your humble lunge. Scissor the legs together to get stable, try not to fall off to the right. Look forward for balance, and float up into your bound warrior 3. Or you can bring your hands to your heart already if you need to, or even to the standing thigh. And release, chair, and stand up, hands to heart, shake it out. Front of the mat, full vinyasa. Sit back into chair, take a deep breath. And exhale, dive forward. Lengthen, and step or flow back, low push-up. Inhale, forward facing, and exhale, downward facing dog. From here, lift your right leg, and step forward between your thumbs to lift up to your warrior two. Opening out to your side, nice and open across the front of the hips, knee forward, shoulders relaxed, fingers fairly spread, and take a few deep breaths here. Solid down into your legs, let the arms relax a little bit. Left hand to the hip, right arm reaches up, reverse your warrior. And then side angle. Bring the forearm to the thigh and bring that left arm along the ear. Don't sink into your bottom shoulder. Keep that shoulder down. You're pulling down into the side of the body, so the whole shoulder girdle is kind of drawing down back onto the rib cage. And instead you're getting the length by extending the waist, the ribs away from the hip and waist. So it's stronger in the core, not scrunched up in your neck. Don't collapse the back leg, keep it nice and active. Stay nice and strong, maybe lift a little bit higher, reach that bottom hand towards me, palm up. Keep the legs nice and bent, just lift the torso. And then bow the right shoulder down to the knee, lift it back up, and dip it down. And lift, and dip, and lift, and dip. Again, lift it up. Once more dip, maybe this time as you dip, you can bind. It can be a half bind with the top arm behind your low back, or it can be a full bind if your elbow can clear the bottom of the thigh, and you can still roll the chest open a little bit. Release your hands to the ground, set the back knee down, slide it back a little bit, lean into your left hand, walk your right foot out to the side, twist right, reach back and grab your foot for your quad stretch, drawing the heel into your hip. If it comes close, don't let it cross over to the right, bring the heel towards your left hip, almost like you're going to hook it around the front of your left hip. Stay lifted out of your shoulders. This class is all about the shoulders. Don't sink down. Plug it in down into serratus and lats on the side and the low back or upper mid back. Carefully release. Bring the hands to the ground. Walk that right foot in a little. And then as you pivot your feet to the left, walk your hands down the left side of the mat, coming into your side lunge. Bending your left knee, straighten right leg. You can lift the right toes or keep them down, it's up to you. If you can drop down, keeping your left heel down, you can drop down low, otherwise stay up pretty high. I want you to stay controlled in this left leg. Feel a little pull between your heels here, so stay active in the stretch, don't let it just sink down. Forward. Start to shift back onto that right foot, pivot the toes forward, and lift up into your half moon. If you have it, grab that upper foot with your left hand and draw the knee back into place. For quad stretch in your half moon, your right hand can definitely be on the block or floor. You can also bend your standing leg. And then soften everything. Keep a hold of the foot though. Face forward. Square the hips and reach it back for your standing bow or a little mini dancer. Don't worry about getting a deep back bend. Just gently press the foot into the hand. As you reach forward, think more about a balance and a little opening for that left shoulder. And then as you let it go, wrap your left ankle over right thigh and either squat down into a figure four or wrap that left knee over the right. If you can get the double bind, you can double bind into full eagle, and then it's left arm over right. And then simply release, stand up, and shake it out. I don't know about you, but I can feel the effects of all this being inside a little bit more. Definitely tighter than usual. And vinyasa. Sit back into your chair and forward fold. Flat back and step or float back. Breathe your way through and back to downward facing dog. From downward dog, lift your left leg, step forward to center, and lift open into your warrior two on the second side. Give yourself a few breaths here. Relax the shoulders, soften the neck. You can look to the side, you can look forward as long as that doesn't strain the neck too much. Keep neutral with the spine, try not to lean forward. Then reverse your warrior. Right hand to the hip, left arm up. And side angle. Down onto the elbow, right arm along the ear. Again, don't sink. Pull the shoulders back into place. Lengthen the ribs away from the waist rather than the shoulders up into the ears. Nice and long and strong here. Reach that bottom arm towards me, palm up, keep the leg bent, just lift the torso, and dip it back down. And again, lift, and dip, and lift, and dip down. A couple more times, lift it up, dip it down. Once more, lift. This time dip, working into your half or full bind. Both hands around the thigh, linking your fingers, or just the top arm behind the back, rolling the shoulder over. Deepen the breath. And then release your hands to the ground, set the back knee down. If you landed narrow, walk the knee back, lean into your right hand, walk the left foot out. This is that quad stretch again. Sinking a little bit into your right hip. This may be enough. Stay out of your shoulders, keep the chest open. Maybe reach your left hand back for the foot, draw it in. Deep breath. Just like in side plank, a little clockwise work through that bottom arm. Let it go. Turn your left foot in. Start to straighten left leg as you bend the right knee, walking back into your side lunge. You can balance, you can keep your hands on the leg, you can keep your right elbow on the knee if you're up higher. But again, activate, don't just be passive. Get a little draw between your heels. That will help you with the lift. Look forward. Start to shift. We're coming into our half moon. So reach out with your left hand to the floor, a block, or floating. If you have the quad stretch, grab a hold of your top foot, draw the knee back. soften a little. Shifting up, square off, gentle press. Remember, it's not a really deep back bend, it's just a balance, working into your standing bow. And then release. Wrap right ankle over left thigh in your figure four, and just squat back. Or cross your right knee all the way over. If you don't have the second bind of eagle, don't feel like you have to shove the foot back like I did on the first side, but try not to let it just stick out to the side. Get that internal wrap to the top thigh, keeping the foot next to the side of the leg. Sitting down, right arm over left. And then release, stand up, shake it out. Now from the front, take another drink while make sure this is still working. We will all look back at these days at some point and like, remember when we had to teach to an empty room? It's a little disconcerting at times. But I just picture that you're all here with me. Toes out, heels in. Come down into your horse stance or open goddess. Supported version, hands on the thighs, just shift a little bit back and forth. Working the chest down, the hips back, get a little stretch into the inner thighs and groin. And we'll do a little work for the shoulders here. So lift the torso, keep the knees apart. Just let the arms hang for now. As you inhale, lift the shoulders up, squeeze them back, and then pull that squeeze down the spine. Inhale, spread the back. Exhale, middle shoulder blades straight back. Try to pull that squeeze down. Inhale to release, bend your elbows. As you exhale, try to touch the elbows behind you. Pull the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down. Inhale, relax. Once more, inhale, shrug, pull back. And exhale, squeeze down. Inhale, relax. Middle shoulder blades squeeze back. Try to pull that squeeze down. Inhale, release, bend your elbows. Try to touch the elbows behind you, scoop that down and a little forward. And then let it go. And straighten your legs. Toes out, heels in. Bend over into your right knee. And come down only as far as makes sense for you. You can open the arms. Then cross and switch. And cross and switch. And cross and switch. When you go back over to the right, either stay and hover. Some of you are low enough that you can bind around that right knee. Otherwise, you can just bring your hands to the ground, try to dip that right elbow closer to the floor. If you don't have the bind, you can also press the arm into the leg and twist open. You might be up high. If you have the bind, if you don't, stay because we're coming back. Step your right foot next to the left one. Keep the bind as you stand up. Sthiti Marichyasana. Put that right foot back down where you found it. Step your left foot out. Release. Cross and switch. And again, either just try to reach the left elbow down, maybe open up into a twist and hold, maybe bind around that left knee. If you have the bind, step your right foot in, stand on the right foot as you stand up, draw that left knee up with you. Carefully set it down, step out, release, come back to center, and step to the front of your mat. Shake it out. We're going to make our way to the floor now. So just simple vinyasa, reach up. Exhale, dive down. Flat back. And step or flow back. Breathing your way through, avoiding your T-mug. And then lower your knees. And you'll want a couple of props nearby. Block, blanket, or pillow, strap or belt. And come all the way down onto your belly, but we won't need them for just yet. Once you're on the belly, we're going to do a little chest opener. So from laying down, reach your left arm out, shoulder height to start, palm down. Walk it a few inches higher, not really far forward, just a little bit higher angle in the shoulder. Then look to your right. Plant your right hand on the ground. As you roll back onto your left hip, scoot the hips forward and bend your knees. So it's like you were in a chair, twisting chair that fell over. Press this left hand behind you into the floor as you pull your chest forward and twist open. Some of you can step the right foot behind you, knee to the sky if you want to add a little spinal twist, but make it more about your left chest and shoulder, the left arm. And then release back onto the belly. Extend your right arm out. Again, a couple inches higher than the shoulder. Plant your left hand. As you roll back onto your right hip, scoot your hips forward, bend your knees. And then twist open, up and out of that right chest and shoulder. Try to really lift right here. Your head may not be on the ground, that's okay. Maybe step that left foot behind you. And release, come back onto your belly. Shake it out a little bit. Then we'll do something a little similar to what we did in horse stance. It's a little strengthener for the upper back. Bend your elbows out to 90 degrees. Elbows about shoulder height. This isn't much of a back bend, so keep your lower ribs on the front down on the floor. Just lift enough to get the chest and the face away from the floor. The tailbone tuck, keep your feet on the ground, and then float the forearms up. Keep looking down for a long neck. Squeeze the center of the shoulder blades together. And then bring the middle fingers to touch over the head. Keep the elbows bent. Lift the hands, lift your elbows. Bring it back to center. Squeeze middle shoulder blades. Then imagine you can touch your elbows behind you. Keep the wrists up. Bring it back to center. Squeeze middle shoulder blades. Bring it forward. Touch middle fingers. Bring it back to center. Squeeze up. One more time, try to touch the elbows behind you, keep the wrists up. And bring it back to center, stay in center. Don't lift and lower the chest, just the arms. Forearms flapping like wings, squeezing shoulder blades together for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Shake it out. Hold the head a little side to side if you need to. And then grab a hold of one of your blocks and put it at your low back, bringing your feet a little closer together. For Shalabhasana with a block, grab a hold of the block, grip it with the fingers, reach it back, try to pull the block apart, float the chest and the feet up. It's not a deep back bend, it's just a strengthening for the back. Try to pull the block apart, draw the shoulders down from the neck. And release. Shake it out.
part 2. You're either going to repeat that, if you can, try to squeeze the block between your palms. It's going to be really hard. Some of you may not be able to lift the block up. Today I probably can't. If you notice, my shoulders and triceps are very tight, which is one of the reasons why I chose to teach this class today. Benefit for all of us. Grab a hold of the block. Oh my God, try to squeeze it to lift it. Lift up. Ah. Belly in. Tuck the tail. Lift the block. Squeeze it. And then let it go. Oh my God. I'm sorry for all the times when you guys do that in class. Shake it out. And then prop yourself up on your arms. So we're going to set up for bow with a strap and a blanket. So grab a hold of your strap. Make sure it's really long. You won't need a loop. And then your blanket or pillow or whatever you have that's soft, roll it up into a thick little sausage or a mini bolster. This is going to support your ribs when we come into bow pose with a strap and a blanket. So you may notice I keep looking over to the side. My monitor, for some reason, is showing 20 minutes ago in class, and now it's up to speed. So if you see me making weird faces, that's why. I don't know why I went back to that quad stretch suddenly. All right, so this is probably the hardest part of the pose, is getting the strap hooked around the front of your ankles. Good luck, do what you can. I wish I could help you. You're gonna have to figure that part out. Then just let the ends of the strap or belt hang over the shoulders. Hopefully it's long enough. And bring yourself, you can always take regular bow pose Janurasana if you're not using any props. Prop the front of your ribs up on your bolster. So not so high that you're crunching your low back, but not so low that you're not supporting yourself. So the bolster should be supporting the lift of the front of your rib cage. It's right under the front of my ribs. My sternum is just above the bolster. And then this is about the shoulders, not really about the back bend. So try first to straighten the arms, and then keeping the arms straight, start to straighten your legs, pulling the strap back. So this is a big stretch for my upper back. Keep the tailbone tucked, and right into my shoulders. Keep the head relaxed. And then bring it forward. Release a little bit. Now version 2. Depending on the depth of the pose, you may need to actually carefully somehow hook your big toes around the strap, because for here, you might want to bend your elbows and straighten the legs a little bit more. So it's kind of similar to that stretch we had with the elbows on the blocks at the very beginning of class. You can also do a little bit of both. As long as it's okay for your back, use the bolster to support the back bend. Maybe you can walk your hands further down the strap to give yourself a little bit more of a stretch. And then let it go. And shake it out. Make sure the strap doesn't stay with you for the rest of class. If your bolster is big enough, you can actually come forward a little bit on it. To release the belly over the bolster. Give yourself a little almost nauseating release for your abs. A couple of really deep breaths, or you're just laying down on the belly. Now prop yourself up. Come back. To sit down, just for a moment. Now adjust your strap or belt or whatever you have. If you don't have a real yoga strap, this might not work unless you hook your belt to the right width. But I want you to make a loop down so that you can hook it over the elbows and have your elbows be shoulder width apart, not too wide. The idea is to keep your elbows in. No blanket for this, but you might want to block between your hands. So we're taking supported dolphin with strap and block. If you need something wider between the hands, put something wider. If you have really broad shoulders, you might need a block and a half between the hands. Press down into your forearms and lift up into your dolphin. Press back. Use your props. Use the block to keep the hands apart. Press a little bit out into the strap. Engage your shoulders back. And maybe lift your right leg up. Switch legs. Keep pressing back. Lift up to the left leg. Try to lengthen the sides of the waist as much as possible. Again, you're not trying to cram down into your shoulders. Reach back through that left leg. And then set the leg down. Bring it down for a moment, but keep your props. All right. So I don't have an eye on you, so the balance is going to be really tricky. Please watch first. If you are in a place in your house where you can put a wall in front of you if you're unstable, you can always put a wall in, but be wary of using the wall. When you have a strap and a block and a wall, sometimes you might get stuck. So maybe try not to use it or just use it for psychological support. Again, you can just lift one leg and then the other. You don't have to lift anything else. But maybe with the shoulders secure enough, you can come up, walk that other foot a little bit closer in, and then using your props, squeeze the block, press out into the strap, and it might help you lift the legs a little bit easier. You do not have to straighten the legs. You can keep that second leg tucked in so that at most you fall into child's pose, not up and over the block. So give it a try, coming up into your dolphin, extending your right leg up, hopping that left foot in, maybe left heel to hip, or maybe just lift up high onto your tiptoes, back onto the heel, up onto tiptoes, just back and forth a little bit. You don't need to lift that other foot fully off the ground. You can keep it connected. And then when you're ready, after you've rested, try the second side. A little lean, a little press. Try your best to hug your ribs in. And then rest in child's pose when you're ready. Roll the head a little side to side. It's hard to keep that out of the upper traps by the neck. Give it a couple tries if you'd like. Trying over one leg and the other, a little rest. Remember at first it's just a leaning up onto tiptoes, back to the heel, up onto the tiptoes. Nothing, that second leg doesn't have to lift up. Now we're going to start to restore. So coming into pigeon, if you like an alternative, you can take figure 4 on the back with right ankle over left thigh. Otherwise, just from your tabletop, maybe down dog, slide your right knee to right wrist, find the angle of the shin. Work the hips back towards the floor, use the back leg like a rudder to keep that left hip under control. You can even tuck the toes for a moment, kind of set the hips into place. Stay as high as you need to. Nice little block to support the low back. Shifting back into your hips. Wherever you are, breathing really deeply into your back. using my hands to control the work backwards. I don't want to roll forward onto my front knee and shin too much. I'm actually pushing back a little bit within my arms. Coming back up, just swing that back leg forward to your right leg. Left leg is extended, right foot comes into the thigh, mirroring you now. So whatever leg was forward is still bent. Bring your left hand or elbow to the inside of the straight leg, right arm up and over, and just take your side bend. Now if you're really hamstring flexible, rather than just collapsing down onto that leg and foot, you can actually extend your left shoulder forward, bend the elbow, catch your head in your hand, and then that right arm comes up and overhead to grab the foot, because otherwise you're just kind of collapsed down. But try your best to stay lifted up out of your right side. And then release, carefully sitting up, and just switch. So pigeon with your left leg forward, or on your back, figure four with your left ankle over the right thigh, that supine figure four stretch. This is a tighter side for me, so I'm not gonna get that foot as far forward. Rotate to turn that right hip to the floor, and deep breath. Ready, sitting up, swing that right leg forward, extend the right leg out, left foot bends in. It's so nice to see the sunshine. Right arm down, left arm up and over. Just coming into your side bend. Lift yourself up. Straighten both legs out in front of you for Dandasana. And bring your hands back behind you. Bend your elbows a little to lift your chest up. Trying to sit as close to 90 degrees as you can. Lifting up, engage the legs, bring the feet back. Arch the chest, bend your elbows, squeeze back into your triceps a little bit. So I want you to keep this feeling in your body because we're about to take Viparita Karani and I want you to do the supported version. I want you to get this same feeling and not have it be a collapsed version of the pose that I see so often. So get this feeling in the body, almost like you're about to lift the hips up. And then grab your block as you lay down. Bend your knees, set your feet on the ground. So for Viparita Karani, Lift the hips enough to slide the block the second or first height, not too high. And make sure it's a little bit in closer towards you than it would be for bridge. So not all the way out to the tip of the tailbone. I really want to avoid that. I want you to be able to put the flat of your sacrum onto the block. Now let your chest arch. Draw your shoulders under like you were going to lift up to bridge. You can even grab the outer edges of the mat if you need to, or press the hands into the ground. Keep the arch to the chest and lift the feet straight up into the air. It should feel a lot like that seated pose, Dandasana, that we just took. Zip up the inner lines of the legs, let the chest arch, work the arms into the floor. It's a very engaged pose, it's not a rest pose. But do let the weight of your legs kind of sit heavy into the back of the hips on the block. Don't collapse like this, pressing the outer edge of the block into your lower back, and letting everything just collapse. Keep lifted, keep the shoulders underneath you. And breathe. Bend your knees, set the feet down. Lift enough to slide the block out from underneath you. Draw your knees in. Rock a little side to side. Bring your knees down to the right. Reach your left arm out. Free up that left shoulder blade. Sorry, knees to the left, right arm out. I don't need to mirror you now. So used to that. Whichever side you're on, just enjoy the twist. Soften the shoulders. Don't worry about holding the knees in line or anything like that. Back up to center. The hips the other side. I'm just coming to the other side, free up the shoulders. Reach the arm out. And just take the second side of the supine twist. Just breathe deeply along the spine. Bring it up to center. Hug the knees in one more time. Rock a little. And come into Shavasana. Take a moment to really settle yourself into the floor. Arms and legs and lungs to the side, heavy into the ground. Relax your face, jaw, muscles around your eyes. Just let your whole body start to settle down into rest. Let the breath slow down to a natural rhythm. Just give yourself this little bit of time to really fully rest. that space between your eyebrows. Seeing if you can let another couple layers go. Feeling all the points of contact between your body and the floor just grow a little heavier and softer. Take a nice deep breath in. Move the fingers and toes around a little bit. If it would feel good, stretch the arms back overhead. Press your toes forward, lengthen everything out. And then stay relaxed and roll up onto one side or the other, just curling up. From your side, gently press up to seated. From seated, if you'd like, bringing the hands together over the heart. Take one more breath together, huge inhale. Hold it in, relax the shoulders. Take another sip of air. Hold it. And exhale. Namaste. Thank you all so much for sharing practice today. Again, as some of you, my regulars, know, this is one of my favorite classes. I've been teaching it for almost 11 years here. Definitely all 10 years in this space. A couple started off in the old space as well. And a lot of you have been practicing with me almost that whole time. I miss you all. I can't wait until we're finally allowed to practice again. Who knows when that'll be? Let's not set ourselves up for expectations. It'll happen when it happens, taking everything in the present moment as it comes. But take care of each other, take care of yourselves. I love you all, and hope to see you soon.